The special education teacher and I, we worked on technology. We looked at different job options and job opportunities and career opportunities.
Used state services for the blind all the way through college.
Welcome to TVI Toolbox.
Part of the blind skills that I had to learn, which helped me with my job, is I have to be really on top of things.
Success stories of students on their journey through the transition process from high school to college to the workplace. With agency professionals, teachers of the visually impaired, parents of students, and the students themselves. What's in your toolbox? What's in your toolbox? What's in your toolbox?
I'm going to be 100% honest with people. Your first semester of college isn't going to be amazing. Like everyone says it's going to be. It's going to be hard. You're going to struggle a lot. I know I did, and I still am.
That's the voice of Rakeb Max, first-year student at Providence College.
Don't declare a major. Do not declare a major. Don't. Little word of advice.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter @blindabilities, and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store and the Google Play Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities.
The article would be a great avenue to defy those preconceived notions people have when they first see me. Yeah.
Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson. Today we're talking to Rakeb Max, and she's a student at Providence College. And last time she was on Blind Abilities, she had just been appointed to the Young Women's Initiative Cabinet by Governor Mark Dayton and had returned from George Washington University during a summer extensive program. So how you doing, Rakeb?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Your letter that you wrote to the editor circulated the world, it seems like. It hit here in Minnesota, and in your first sentence from Minnesota. So that was really sweet to see. And it was a great letter. Can you talk about that?
Sure. The idea came to me actually when I was eating fries, of all things, in my cafeteria. And I was listening to music, eating. I had a pretty rough day that day. I was not having a good day. I wasn't in a good mood at all. And I was having a hard time adjusting socially at Providence College because, for one, it's a very different culture. I'm on the East Coast. It's very different from the Midwest. Secondly, I was having a hard time finding my place in the PC community. And I knew that my blindness probably was a barrier for interacting with people. And I understood why, and I wanted to address those concerns people may have had, but were too afraid to approach me and ask. I texted my friend and I said, if you think this is a crazy idea, let me know. And then I explained my idea about writing the article. And she thought it was great. So I finished eating and I went straight down to the library and wrote my first rough draft, and it went off from there.
Well, that's great. I like how you explained or answered some of the questions, or some of the most questions that you get asked all the time. Kind of invasive questions, but it's something that happens all the time, isn't it?
Yeah. And I specifically chose invasive questions like that because I knew that they were uncomfortable questions. And if I wanted people to be comfortable around me, I knew that I had to be comfortable with myself, and I had to be comfortable with answering questions like that. I made them personal for a reason.
You also mentioned change people's preconceived ideas about you or about someone who's blind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to make it very clear that I was just a typical college student. And I thought that the article would be a great avenue to defy those preconceived notions people have when they first see me. Yeah.
So now that you're at Providence, how's it going out there? Is it everything that you had prepared for?
No. If I'm being 100% honest, college is never everything that you're prepared for. It is a huge adjustment socially, academically, and complete environment change, especially for me because I moved across the country. Most of the kids here are from New England. I think 60% of Providence College's student body is from New England, and then I think another 20% are from New Jersey and New York. So they get very few people outside of those circles. I think the majority of the people who are outside of the East Coast are athletes. I have a friend who's on the varsity softball team. She's from Texas. A lot of the guys on the varsity basketball team are from California. So no, it was not what I prepared for. I'm going to be 100% honest with people. Your first semester of college isn't going to be amazing. Like everyone says it's going to be. It's going to be hard. You're going to struggle a lot. I know I did, and I still am. It's midterms right now, and I have a cold, and I had 3 papers to write. I've written 2, and I have 1 more. And I have an economics exam in a couple weeks. So it's a lot. And I do think that I was very well prepared in terms of my independent living skills. I think I was very prepared for that. I don't get homesick. There were kids who live 2 hours from here who were crying on the first day, and I felt nothing, which I thought was very odd because I was like, oh my God, is there something wrong with me? I don't feel anything. I feel nothing at all.
We won't let your mom hear this one.
Yeah. No. I miss her home cooked meals. I miss that. I do miss those. Yeah, but it's getting easier. I've established myself a little more on campus, so it's gotten a lot easier now.
I noticed when I was out east, and this was years ago, that out east, there's a different level of academia amongst everybody.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know if I can substantiate this claim, but I do think people who are on the East Coast are more likely to go to prestigious or rigorous private schools, like private colleges. Yeah, a lot of these kids came from a different academic background than I did. There's a fair amount of people here who went to a private Catholic school. PC is a Catholic school for anyone who doesn't know. Yeah, I think that is a fair claim to make. Very different from the Midwest. The academic culture is very different, but it's much more competitive here. I wouldn't say PC itself is competitive, but I think the East Coast as a whole is more competitive academically, economically, and all that other stuff compared to the Midwest, which is much more relaxed, and the mindset is very different, and the way people pursue their passions is it's less aggressive, I would say. But I honestly like the competitive environment. I thrive in those kind of environments. So
yeah, you have a lot of achievements. So you're living in a dorm.
Yep, I live right on campus. I actually live in a dorm that's quite central to everything. So I have the mailroom connected to my dorm. I have the dining hall connected to my dorm, and my classes are really easy to get to because it's in the middle of campus.
Oh, that's nice. Well, that's great. So do you have laundry facilities, everything that you need?
Yep, those are all downstairs. I live on the third floor. The laundry and stuff are on the second floor, and there's also a kitchen on my floor that they just installed, actually.
Did you have to label anything?
Yes, I had to label the laundry machine, and I haven't gone about labeling the kitchen yet because they just got it about 2 weeks ago. All there was here before they brought in the stove and everything, all there was here was a microwave and a sink. Now there's a stove and a fridge, so that's nice.
So you're making it work?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great.
I'd say so.
What was one of the biggest challenges that you mentioned that it's hard? What was one of the biggest challenges that you faced?
I'd say the social adjustment. For one, the culture shock. Second, I wouldn't say I'm extroverted. I'm pretty introverted. I'm definitely, once you get to know me, I'm definitely like very loud and obnoxious and a social person. But like when I'm surrounded by new people, I'm very quiet, and it takes a lot for me to feel comfortable enough to express my full self. But I knew right off the bat coming into PC that I'd have to break that habit and be extroverted, even though it's against my nature completely. So I made a point to be as outgoing as possible, especially since I'm visually impaired. That's kind of a necessary skill to have, is your social skills, because people already think you're kind of weird when you walk into the room anyway. So people aren't going to do the talking for you. You have to do the talking. You have to initiate all the conversation. How
accessible is your school? I mean, you're located, mobility-wise, you seem to be in a great location, but how are the teachers' responses to you walking in with your cane?
My professors have been great. I'd say the most challenging accessibility things are in regard to the actual physical location of my school. It's 3 minutes from downtown, but the way campus is constructed, it was built to be very scenic rather than efficient. It's not efficient to get around campus, even for those with vision. You'll be walking down one path and it'll split into 5 other paths, and there's very little tactile indication that you're going to walk onto a different path. You also have parking lots that are supposed to be parking lots but are treated more like roads. You have walkways that are treated more like roads than actual walkways. You also have crosswalks that aren't straight. In Minneapolis, everything's a grid, so it's very easy. It's not like that in New England, especially Boston. Boston's a hot mess. Your crosswalks aren't straight. One of the crossings I have to make when I'm walking to the gym, you have to walk in a diagonal line because of the way the campus is built.
And this is all stuff that basically you get to learn by experience rather than just what you expect.
Yeah, this is things that you have to learn by experiencing it, and with O&M instruction. This isn't really something you prepare for because it probably doesn't sound that bad with the way I'm describing it, but once you come onto campus, you'll understand. And I don't think that's just Providence College either. I think that's very common for most colleges, because when they're giving tours, they want it to look scenic. They want it to look visually appealing. What's visually appealing is not efficient to travel around. I know people who are going to Stanford, and it's similar to Providence as well. Paths that don't have any kind of indication that you're going to change paths, strange things like that. So,
Have you made use of the Disability Services Office?
Yes. Here they're called OAS, Office of Academic Services. I actually contacted them very early. I did so with all of the colleges I applied to. I contacted all the disability services for my colleges in December, actually, because I wasn't sure where I was going to go. I was very unsure. So I contacted all of them. and I established a relationship prior to me making a decision and committing to a school. So I had already established a relationship with OAS when I decided to come here. So all it took was an email and sending over some documentation to initiate that entire process.
And how about with your professors? Were they open to your emails?
Yes, I didn't know who my professors were till August, around July or August. I actually found out who my professors were and what my classes were earlier than most. I get some priority with picking my classes because the order I pick, my classes are much more essential than the average student because I need to know exactly what I'm going to take, when I'm going to take it, and what kind of materials I need to obtain for that class. So I had sent out emails to my professors before class started, introducing myself, explaining that I was blind, explaining my accommodations, and saying that feel free to contact me if they had any other questions or concerns.
So you were well ahead of the game, especially contacting the office, especially.
Yeah.
So it seems like for all the universities and colleges that you wanted to check out, that you sent those letters early so you could evaluate even the Office of Academic Services.
Yes, that's correct. I wanted to establish that relationship in case I decided to go to whatever school. And I also wanted to, it was sort of a test for me. It was to see how would they respond to me reaching out early. And I also sent them multiple questions that I had about their services. So it was a combination of me wanting to establish relationships before the school year started. And it was also me trying to see how efficient their offices were and how they could accommodate me.
Did any of those responses help you determine which college you would?
Yes. Here's the thing. When it comes to emailing these disability support services, the differences in how they operate aren't apparent. They aren't blatant in the email. You have to search for it in how they respond to your question, because technically they can provide everything you ask for. It's a matter of how willing they are and how easy it is to get what you need. Because legally they have to supply everything. It's more how easy is it for you.
Mm-hmm.
How can you establish a functional partnership with them? So, for example, I'm not going to say the name of this college, but there's this one college that I emailed about disability support services, and it was a very, very small school. For one, they had not had a blind student before. And I want to say this now, there's nothing wrong with being the first. I didn't want to be the first. That makes my life easier. I was not going to college being the first blind student. I just wanted everything set when I went to college. So if you want to be the first blind student at a school, that's great for you. Just know you have an uphill battle. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted the school. They had not had a blind student before. They had few disabled students in the past. And I did not get a sense of security or confidence when I emailed them and when they emailed me back and when I called them. I don't think they were accustomed to dealing with disabilities that needed very specific accommodations. I got the impression that they were more used to people who just needed a little extra time on tests. I don't think they were used to having extensive accommodations that I required. So I ruled them off my list immediately. Plus, I didn't get into that school anyway, so it didn't matter in the end.
Well, that's a good tip for other people who are interested in transitioning to college to check out all the facilities that the college offers so you can better make a choice that will work for you.
Yeah.
How accessible or what devices do the teachers use? Like, do they use Noodle or do they use Blackboard? What device? Are they using anything that is not accessible, or is it working out for you?
So PC is a bit of an oddity in that we don't use Blackboard. We use our own software called Sakai, which is, I would say, not the easiest thing to navigate. It's definitely possible, but it took me sitting down with Jen Rivera, who's actually the person I work with. I'm on her caseload with OAS. She's the best. So if you come here, I'll advocate for you to get Jen Rivera because she's amazing. Also, she told me to shout her out. So
there you go.
It took me having to sit down with her and go over where everything was because the way it's organized is not, it could be better is all I'm going to say. It depends on the professor. Some professors just hand everything in class or they send out a mass email. But most of my professors, they post resources on Sakai, such as lecture notes and their PowerPoint. And they post syllabus on there. With my Western Civilizations class, I have to check Sakai multiple times a day because there might be assignments that they'll post on Sakai but won't mention in class. I don't know if that's true with other colleges. It might be, but I know with this class, we have papers every week that we have to write. The thing is, you know what the reading is. You know what reading you have to do to complete that assignment, but you don't know what the prompt is going to be. And they don't release the prompt till Thursday afternoon, and then you have till Sunday at 11:59 p.m. to complete it, the assignment. So every Thursday, I'm refreshing the page, checking Sakai, waiting for that prompt to come out so that I can get started with that assignment as soon as possible.
Great. Does the school use anything like Google Docs or anything like that?
I have not seen a single professor use Google Docs. I think that's only a thing high school students
Good.
have to use. I've never heard of a college using Google Docs because colleges develop their own systems to utilize for document sharing and all that kind of a thing. That's what Blackboard and Sakai are for. I've never heard of a college using Google Docs. That's only a thing I've experienced in high school and middle school.
Yeah, it seems like with the accessibility of Google Docs and stuff, I was just fearing that it would be there, lurking.
I will say that when you're working on a group project and your group mates may want to use Google Docs, Google Docs has gotten better. There's ways around the inaccessibility. I had to use Google Docs for example, I'm trying to start an organization on campus to advocate for disabled students, and where a lot of our communication is through Google Docs because we had to write our proposals, we had to write our budget outlines because it's an entire bureaucratic process because we are seeking funding from the college. So we have to get approval from Student Congress and we have to get approval from Dean Sears, who's the Dean of Activities and Student Organizations on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So I have used Google Docs for that, but for actual classes, no, absolutely not.
So just go attend those student meetings. I used to be student president. People would come and pitch their proposals to us and all that. That's neat that you're getting involved and being active in that stuff.
Yep. It's a new organization on campus. We're working on being approved. It hasn't been approved yet, but we're expecting to be approved. I don't see why they can't be. There is no existing organization, actually, that's trying to do the work that we're trying to do, which surprises me.
But Rakeb is on the campus now.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually approached by another student. Her name is Jackie. She's a junior. She's been wanting to start a club like this for a while, but hasn't had enough people interested or hasn't been able to find other disabled students to help her. So she met me and she asked me, I'm trying to start this organization and I think you'd be great for it. So can you help me start? And I was like, sure. And then we asked another girl who's also visually impaired actually, but she has tons of residual vision. So she doesn't actually walk around with a cane and she reads 18-point font. So she's not as blind as I am. So it's the three of us plus another girl who isn't disabled but was interested in the cause. We're the executive board of our organization. Jackie's president. I'm treasurer. My friend Eliza, the visually impaired girl, is vice president and Laura is secretary. And I'm also a social media representative as well. And those of you who have me on social media will probably see me promote it and see some promotions in a couple of days. I've already posted some stuff on Twitter and Instagram. The organization is called Believe, which stands for Be Educated, Live with Inspiration, and Evaluate Equity. So, yeah.
Wow, I like it. Good for you.
Yep.
So Rakeb, you're often started. It's a little harder than you thought, but you like the challenge. What advice would you give to students who are in the same shoes that you are right now?
Don't declare a major. Do not declare a major. Don't. You'll probably end up not liking the major because I wrote that article several weeks ago saying that I was an econ major. I'm not an economics major anymore. Don't declare a major because that restricts you and you won't be able to explore as much as you could, and if you explore, you might find that you like something else. So don't declare a major. Your college doesn't care if you declare a major in your application. It's not going to make you look cooler. It's not going to increase your chances of getting in. In fact, it might actually hurt your chances of getting in, especially if you're applying to a specific program, because there are programs that you have to supply extra information for. So just err on the side of caution and just select undeclared on your application. Little word of advice. Second thing I'd say, and this is more for people who are visually impaired, I need you to take those introversion tendencies and throw them out the window because it's not going to help you in college. Your opportunity to make connections, these are your employers, employees, etc., etc. You need to just be rid of those bad habits you developed in high school with your socialization and make new ones in college so that you're prepared when you walk out of college and enter the workforce. Oh, another one is get used to weird questions. Some people just don't know. I'm very okay with it because I kind of an open book when it comes to that kind of a thing, but most people aren't, and I think you need to be, unfortunately, for people to be comfortable interacting with you. It's the easiest way, it's the most efficient way to break that barrier. So if people see that you're uncomfortable with it, they're not going to be comfortable with you.
And it helped this year that you took the approach to be more of an extrovert or more open to things than not.
Yeah, no, I'm going out way more than I used to in high school.
All right. Well, Rakeb, is there anything else you would like to tell the listeners?
Well, thank you for reading the article. Really appreciate it. For my blind females, if you want to learn how to do your makeup, I suggest you watch Molly Burke on YouTube. She has several tutorials and she's visually impaired as well. Also, I'm sure you can ask around and get my phone number because I can help with that as well. I'm very open to that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's about it.
We've been talking to Rakeb Max. She's a first-year student out at Providence College. I want to thank you for taking so much of your time and a little under the weather, but thanks for coming on the Blind Abilities and sharing your experiences, and I'm sure the listeners will enjoy listening.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
You bet. It's always a great time having Rakeb Max on Blind Abilities to share her experiences. As you may recall, her previous podcast, she talked about her decision-making process and what she was doing to prepare to decide on which college would suit her best. Be sure to stay tuned to TVI Toolbox, the Blind Abilities, as we follow Rakeb through her college journey, from transitioning from high school to college, and without a doubt, to the workplace. I want to thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and until next time, bye-bye.